similar to our employer handbook, when you get the severance package, there's a lot of information, whether it's uh, to do with health insurance and how long that's going to last, if there's going to be a bonus, a one-time payout, if you have equity compensation, what that means for that. There's a lot of language in there.
Exactly, and for this particular client, it involved, a certain number of weeks of severance, it
Hmm.
involved a certain number of weeks of severance for years served, it involved, of course, any PTO that had built up, it included, the annual bonus, that was set to pay, and then, I believe it was a full year's worth to come of equity comp. So there was a lot of compensation there. When you look at every single piece on its own, it doesn't really all come together. When you take it all together and add it up to a number, and then you kind of translate that to weeks. And then there was a little bit of a, even though the layoff was essentially immediate, there's pay through a number of months that were still to come into the summer, right? So it just made it so there's actually a lot of runway there to
Hmm.
figure out what do we want to do next. So that was somewhat helpful to process that.
Oh, of course. I think once you pull all those different things apart, I it's easy for me to say like, hey, let's go put it on a spreadsheet, but it helps to have a visual representation of like what are we actually dealing with here. Sometimes those packets could be so big, so confusing. Um, so to actually pull that apart and say, how much of a runway, to use your word, do we actually have here before? Oh shoot, we really need to make an adjustment. Whether that's to start looking for a new job immediately, to take some time off to rest, to regroup and recover. There's big decisions, I would say. I'd put these in two categories that probably need to be made immediately. And then there's other things that we can get to a little later that are more secondary, if you will.